quickly before I want to jump into your transformation and your encounter with Jesus. But before I do that, last thing I want to say, just for anybody that's listening, is obviously for parents who have done the unthinkable, they've brought their children into satanic rituals. Is there still hope for them?
Absolutely. Of course. And I have seen in the last 2 to 3 years where many of those Satanists, well, I'm saying many, so I've witnessed at least up to 42 people who was deeply involved in Satanism, up to the level of priest and high priest level, being completely redeemed and saved by Christ. So it is definitely possible, yes. I am not saying that is the majority of Satanists. I will be lying if I say that. But I have seen Jesus literally free people and God restoring people and families. That I have also witnessed.
So speaking on that, you said it wasn't a sermon, it wasn't a service or even deliverance that drew you. It was Jesus himself. And you had a direct encounter with him that changed everything for you. Can you kind of walk us through that moment and what specifically shifted your heart in those few minutes when you encountered Jesus?
Sure. So I think important to mention as well is that 10 days prior to my encounter with Christ, I met a person, a lady at a radio station who hugged me, who embraced me, and she literally snuck in like from the side and came and gave me a hug after I said on the radio station that I don't actually believe in Christ, and I don't believe that Jesus ever existed as a person or as the Son of God on this earth. I remember I specifically said something like Jesus is like the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus. Those were my words. Yet still this lady came and she hugged me. And I only found out 1 or 2 days later that she's actually a Christian. So that, and I'll tell you why that's important. So that stuck with me quite a lot because I wasn't used to Christians actually showing me any love or acceptance or anything like that. So here I meet this Christian and completely unconditional, just loving, just embracing. So a few days after that, I was supposed to perform a ritual, a satanic ritual that was at that time decided around the world by 7 different satanic organizations to check in on whether the Antichrist has been born yet or not. So each satanic organization had to appoint a person to perform that ritual. So because of my background at the time, that was in the occult as a professional practitioner and somebody who actively practiced ritual even before I got involved in Satanism, they thought it a good idea to appoint me to do the ritual. So when I started preparing for the ritual, so there's 5 candles that you're supposed to light at points of a star when you do satanic rituals. This is like a standard thing. So when I got to lighting the second candle, the whole room where I was doing this suddenly lit up as if there was a spotlight shown into the room. So my initial thoughts actually was that I'm either being pranked or I'm being watched by someone. And as I turned around, he was there. Jesus was standing there. And again, I didn't know that this was Jesus. So I asked him, "Who are you?" And he said to me, "My name is Yeshua of Nazareth." And I said to him, "You'll have to prove it, because I don't believe
Right.
it."
You're like, I don't even believe in you. I don't even believe you existed, like as a person.
But you knew he was a spirit. You knew he was obviously not a person. Or like, what was your thought in that moment?
Okay. Yes, I knew it wasn't a person, but also remember, in Satanism, there's a lot of involvement of invoking demons and working with demons. So demons always appear in a certain way to occultists and people practicing very light, actually, there's like a glow, lots of bells and whistles, where there was nothing, there was no theatrics or anything. It was very simple, and that's why I asked him. So when I said to him, you'll have to prove it, he flooded me with so much love. And because of that lady at the radio station, I recognized that love, because you see, she had Christ inside her. So I immediately recognized that, like, this is real. And I remember I actually fell to my knees because I couldn't stay standing up. And as it said, every knee shall bow. And it's definitely the truth. You can't contain yourself in that presence. And I don't remember whether this was like a minute or 2 minutes, but it was definitely not longer than that. But the whole world went quiet, and it was like somebody turned off the sound of the world, and I just sat on the floor in that quietness and that feeling of love. And at that time of my life, I actually thought I was happy. Like, if you would ask me that time, if you would ask me 3 years ago, are you happy? I would have said yes, because materially, I've got everything that I ever wanted, and I had all the drugs in the world, and I had motorbikes and cars, and I owned 2 homes at that time. So according to the world standard, I was definitely happy. I just didn't realize that I had a Christ-sized hole in my heart. So after that encounter, I was completely drained physically as well. So I went and I stayed at home. I stayed in bed for almost 3 days, and my phone was going crazy because the Satanic Church wanted to know what the feedback is on the ritual, which I never got to do. And I remember one morning, it was like just before 3 a.m., there was a voice that woke me up and told me to go to the beach. So I did it, and I started having conversations with God, and I just knew that there was no choice after that but to follow Christ. It was just, I didn't necessarily knew at that time what that would mean in terms of logistics, and thank God I didn't, but that was the choice I made. So I then had to go back to the Satanic Church office, and I had to officially resign, and I had to tell them and explain to them why I am leaving Satanism.